in the contract a legal requirement every single time we appear on camera. The co-host, co-founder, co-pilot, co-wearer of clothes, co-breather of air in this very room. It is the King of Sting, the Master of Disaster, the Count of Monte Cristo. It is Thunderlips, the ultimate male. It is, in fact, the winner of the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award. There it is there, the illustrious trophy held by the illustrious man with the illustrious beard. It is none other than Dave Stockbridge. Stockbridge, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much, Hollywood Matt Connolly. As always, introduction on point, biceps on point. You really are the whole package, Hollywood Matt Connolly. And we do have with us today a very, very special guest, of course, Rich Warner, Doyen BJJ expert.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Commentator on the DFC.
Stop it.
So Diamondback Fighting Championship 17. It's done. It's dusted.
Yeah.
It's over. And of course, we're here to review the fights of the night as well as some of the undercard, of course. And Rich Warner, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much, guys. Always a pleasure to be back again. Great to be in studio with you guys and have a chat about the awesome, epic DFC 17 that just gone past. Huh?
And this episode, as always, is brought to you by our friends at Roll Clean Soap. So if you're into combat sports, then what you need to also be into is Roll Clean.
There we go.
Roll Clean Soap. So shout out to Matt and Kat there at Roll Clean, who do an absolute wonderful job of creating delicious looking soaps. Do not eat them out of organic ingredients that are just good for your health,
delicious,
good for your skin, and should never be eaten. Don't eat them. And Bunster's hot sauce, the sauce that. Well, it's a 12 out of 10. So if Tabasco just is not doing the job for you, then you need to upgrade your sauce game, get into some Bunster's hot sauce. Thank you to Andrew and the team. A great Australian product, much like Roll Clean, and of course, Barbell Foods. Now, Barbell Foods are friends of the AWE and of the Daily Combat podcast. And if you want to enjoy the best of biltong, you can do so by heading over to their website, Barbell Foods. Head over to there and get your order in today. And don't forget to put in the code word arm wrestle in order to get yourself a great discount on some fantastic products. So Rich Warner, DFC 17, it's now in the can. Your initial impressions and your fight of the night.
Whoa, there was really a whole bunch of really close fights, probably more so than ever before. There was just tough fight. There was a lot of, fighters who cancelled each other out in terms of skill wise. And so it was really interesting to see how things went down. Probably my favorite is was the first fight of the night. We had a couple of a girls fight, which is really good. We had Nina Kukovic and against, I'm trying to read here, Michaela Curran. That's right. The Irish's sister. And I really like that because of the storyline. Like, we saw a huge amount of emotion from Michaela in that first round. She was thoroughly getting beaten, and a lot of really great straight right body shots from Nina, and then left hooks to their head were landing really, really hugely. And in the first round, you saw Michaela almost start to cry. I thought, she was like at that verge, like, of should I quit? Because this is just the flurry of Nina was just full on.
There was that moment in the first round, wasn't there, where we thought, maybe she's just going to take the count and pack up and go home.
Yeah, that's right. She got a standing count, and then maybe 10 seconds to the buzzer and the buzzer. But geez, it was almost going to be ended up, KO with Nina winning after that first round or before the first round bell. And then her brother comes in at the end of
takes
the first.
Her place.
Yeah, he come in and he had to chat with her and corner her and reinstill the confidence of no. I think, and I got two messages from that at the end of the first round. One was Vanessa Harvey, who said to her, "Oi, you're not quitting. I've chosen you for good reason. You are in the right place and you can win this fight," which is really great to hear. But then the funniest thing was this. The Irish comes in, and, we know the Irish guys, don't we? He's crazy. He's come in and he says, I could do it. Can you
do it in an Irish
accent.
I can't do an Irish
Oh,
accent.
the pressure's on now.
Terrible. But he says, I want you to fight me like you fight Nina like you fight me at home.
I want you to fight Nina like you fight me at home.
Hit her like you hit me.
Right. Was that Northern Ireland or was that normal Ireland?
Well, I think that was more of Northern Ireland Irish accent. So if it's from the South, I do apologise in advance.
So, and then she didn't she? She came out and this warrior came out of her, Michaela. And she won the second round. So it was now a round apiece. All came down to that third round. And geez, both girls just went hell for leather. And it was really, really super tough. And then it went to and really most draws, when you have a draw, it sucks the air out of the room and it's not a great feeling. But this one, both girls were winners. Really, really amazing fight. Really.
And as I said to Nina, she's probably the best and most exciting fighter we've had at the DFC that hasn't yet won a fight. Because her first fight at Apex resulted in a loss for her. But I reckon by punches and kicks thrown per fight, I think there was more thrown in both of her fights altogether than the rest of the cards combined.
That's right.
Yeah.
It was a really busy strike fest all the way through for 3 rounds. And
this is a Sanshu. It wasn't under MMA rules. It was kickboxing.
K1, I think.
K1. I think
great.
K1. Yeah. Nice. And I also think that, so the girls came out strong. And it really was a great night for the girls because we had our very first DFC women's title on the line as well. So and great to see that the girls featuring as co-main event.
Yeah, that's right. With our own, the great white Talia Greats.
The great white. Yeah.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
And, against the drop bear, of course.
We had a shark versus the drop bear.
Danielle Curtis. So that was, of course, a fantastic fight as well. And the fight went all the way, all 5 rounds. So, it was a tough fight. And some of the expectations that I thought may happen did not happen with Talia. I thought she was going to really look for that plum clinch, that plum Muay Thai clinch. I'm just going to talk over the top of what are you doing now?
That's the fight. We were just watching the fight.
You're literally talking over the top of yourself as your own commentary.
Did you hear me laughing in the third round? I was just like, "Oh, this is fantastic!"
Just entertaining.
Crazy. It was super entertaining, wasn't it?
Yeah. And I guess for fight fans, it seems like, and those people that are in the room that have paid money for their tickets, that's exactly what they come to see. Yeah, they come to see a battle. They come to see a war. They love the stand up. It's when the grind is on the floor and maybe the fight gets technical that you see the energy of the room drop. But for 3 rounds, people were on the edge of their seats.
Yeah. I mean, and it's so funny. These girls, a lot of the time at this weight division, don't have the power to necessarily knock each other out. But you see their heads flying back with these punches and kicks, and it's. I probably would get knocked out with some of the stuff that they were throwing.
Just from the air, from swinging when they miss.
It was amazing. Like, no one got knocked out, but geez, it was, they took some fantastic, massive big over. I think Michaela Curran, within the space of 30 seconds, did like 4 great big running, jumping Superman punches, and landing quite a few of them. It was really, really, really entertaining fight. Well done to both fighters.
One of the things you were saying after I talked to you after the event was that, Talia is very strong in the Muay Thai clinch. She looks for that and she lands these devastating knees. Obviously, Drop Bear has game plan for that because, as you explained to me, every time that Talia would get in position to get that Muay Thai clinch, and she did get it a couple of times, then Drop Bear would just bum rush her basically and take her down.
Yeah. There was one. I think it happened quite a few times where Talia was looking for the clinch, but there's lots of different types of clinch, and Muay Thai, especially the masters of clinch technique, and it's like jiu-jitsu. There's many different positions. Well, within clinches, of course, there's 20 different types of clinching as well, and then a lot of balance based wrestling based off that clinch as well. But the plum clinch that Talia has used in her 2 previous knee knockouts is that plum clinch where you're putting your hands behind the head, straight in the middle, and you're able to knee right through the middle.
So effective, yeah.
she wasn't. She was trying to get it, but often when she was doing it, there was also, Drop Bear was just wrestling back and searching for underhooks, and so she was turning it into more of an overhook and an underhook kind of clinch like this, where you can knee in from the side, but can't knee straight through to their head in the middle. So Drop Bear was aware of that and kept on not giving her the plum Muay Thai clinch that she wanted. But there was 2 occasions where she was able to get that Muay Thai clinch, and it was only for half a second because Cassandra, as you said, was completely onto it. One of the times, she instead of trying to fight back, which is the normal thing when someone's grabbed your head and pulling you down with a knee coming through, the normal tendency would be to try and wrestle your head backwards out of that or to push out. But instead of pushing back this way, she did the opposite of what you'd expect. She drove forward, which became an attempted takedown. She drove Talia back all the way across the entire cage and then put Talia's back against the cage. And I just thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Not only now have you put yourself in an offensive position, but you've stopped the knockout power from. And I'm sure she'd done her research and seen Talia's fights before and thought that's the clinch to look out for, and can't get caught in that position because we've seen great athletes get caught in that.
It's so dangerous as well. I mean that technique to duck your head and go forwards in a Muay Thai clinch position, you're asking for. I mean, you're playing the game there. You're on inches from bringing your own face into a knee to dive forwards into a takedown attempt, because I mean that's where that person is trying to pull you. You are deliberately putting yourself in that position. But obviously, if Talia was so used to people resisting against it in the opposite way, it might have just thrown her off. Like, hang on a minute, that's not what people do.
Well, it's like jiu-jitsu became popular and became a useful tool when we realized it was really about the establishment of the space. So to cut away the striking space, you come in.
Yes.
And now you can't strike. And the same thing happened within the clinch. Okay, so clinching, I've got I'm in the position for the right position for those knees. Great, but what if I come forward? Now the knees are not effective.
That's right.
I can only get the side knees onto the liver and so forth. So I can't drive up in the middle like she wanted to.
Yeah, those side knees are just nowhere near as powerful as when you can bring a knee to the jaw. I mean, that's a knockout punch right there. When you're over under and trying to get the knees to the side, the power just isn't there. The leverage just isn't there. You can't really drag them into it like you can when you've got both hands behind the head. Yeah, it is a devastating technique when you get into it, but obviously Drop Bear is game planned hard against that.
Yeah, look, and there's a lot of talk, there's a lot of talk because obviously Talia was the home fighter, and it was a super, super, super tough one to call. I definitely give Talia 2 rounds. I think it was the first and the third, I think it might have been.
Okay.
And then the other 3 rounds were 50-50. All 3 rounds you could have gone to Drop Bear or to Talia.
Was a split, split decision.
The difference between Drop Bear's rounds that she won and Talia's rounds that she won were that Talia's 2 rounds that she won were definitive. They were definitive rounds. You're like, oh, that's definitely Talia's round. Now, an interesting thing that happened in the 3 other rounds that were very 50-50, Dave, was that there was some body language at the end of each one of these 50-50 rounds. And if it was going to go to a judge's decision, I knew the judges would be remembering this particular body language that Drop Bear did at the end of each one of those rounds, which was victorious, which was putting your hands in the air. Even though you're not from the home crowd, she's calling on the crowd and getting the crowd excited like she's the winner. Get behind me, everybody. Doing everything she could to try and tell the story to the judges. This might be a close one, but guys, no, it's not close. I'm winning this. And the other thing she did is she had the classic poker face. She always, you look in every other fight that she's had Drop Bear as well, she'll cop the biggest punch and pretend as if it was nothing.
Well, I mean, even more than a poker face, she was copping the plenty of stick, and then she was smiling her way through it.
Yeah,
she was smiling and having a good time, and
she loved it.
And I think that body language was very much an issue. Even looking back and those moments before a hand is raised, and Talia looked like she was buying into Danielle's energy, where Danielle was very much presenting herself as the victor, and Talia kind of looked at one side and then looked away, and decided not to kind of compete and match that energy. And for outsiders looking in, I think most people would have looked at that and thought, oh, well, she's resigned herself to the fact that Danielle's won. And maybe that was enough to sway the judges. It's hard to know, but
act that part, isn't it? Play that part regardless. If it's 50-50, you've got to put on this acting face, isn't it? That, oh, no, guys, I don't know how you could get this wrong. I'm obviously winning this.
And even in between rounds, Danielle was in the corner. She
telling
was
the
chatty.
story.
She was smiling. She was almost, just letting everybody know things are going great. It's looking, I'm on top of this. Things are awesome. I'm having a great time out here. And you look across the cage, and
I was concerned at Talia's corner on the third round. She had her back towards us, so I couldn't see her face, Dave. And I made a comment in the commentary like, is something happened? Has she got some injury that is she got a leg that's compromised or something like that we're unaware of? Because it seemed, and I was wrong, but it seemed like the corner was fairly concerned. And again, it's telling that same kind of story, isn't it? Now, they weren't concerned, and I don't believe there was any injury. I haven't spoken to Talia since then, but to me, I was concerned because it looked like they were concerned, and Drop Bear's side seemed much more, oh, this is going exactly how we want it to go.
We planned this out. This is going great. Keep it up. It was really the difference, because Talia inflicted a lot of damage, some of which I got on my jacket and pants on more than one occasion. And so there was no doubt that Talia was doing everything in a fight sense that she needed to walk away with the victory. It was just maybe that I guess Danielle has had plenty of time to think about it. She's a three-time champion. She's a triple champ as of now, over 3 weight divisions, the first woman to ever do it. And with that comes a winner's mindset, and a sense that I can't be beaten, and even if I am a bit, I'm not going to let the rest of the world know. And she was able to sell her story,
selling it, isn't it? Selling it.
She sold it. She's
It sort of frustrates me a little bit that I feel like the judges should not be swayed by
totally.
It should be like that, what's going on, and you've seen the entire round, and your head should be down, and you're marking the scorecard. And whether a fighter's walking around putting their arms up or not should not be the deciding factor as to whether or not
it's the human fallibility that a clever fighter can take advantage of. A judge is under a lot of pressure on a night, and as
foreign
a fighter,
territory,
you can kind of pressure them into, there's no way you could go against me because I'm clearly winning, right? It's well played. It's everything factors in, doesn't it? Even if it's 1%, well, every athlete's going to always take it.
That's right. Just say hello to a couple of the people that are in the chat watching. We've got Peter here. He says it's great chatting, and we've got Richard Bornman and his uncle. Apparently, they're on their way to the farm for some downtime, and they're tuned in on the way. Fantastic to hear that Richard is taking some time down.
I hope you've got some of the barbell foods biltong with you, mate. I know that you and your uncle would be enjoying that, I'm sure.
Yes. So Richard, for Richard's benefit, was one of the standout performers on AWE 2, and he had a match against his very first ever super match. This is from our card, obviously, AWE on the weekend, the arm wrestling card. He had a match against one of the top ranked Australian contenders, number 6 in Australia, for his very first ever match, and he did very well. Won a round, didn't end up winning the match, but he performed lived up to his potential for sure, and he'll go on to do even better.
Which nationality is that name? Where's that name?
It's from South Africa.
It's
from South Africa. And I got told how to say the name properly, and I'm probably still saying it wrong, but Richard
is Lars Botha from South Africa.
He is as well, and I cannot get his name right no matter what.
I even know the names. I'm that much of a bigger fan.
That's right.
Lars Botha, Berserker.
That's right.
And then,
that's the same person.
That guy,
Mas will say, "This is how you say my surname, Botha," and I go Botha, and he goes, "No, Botha," and I'm like, "Botha." He's like, "No, I just said it how you said it." But we will be talking about the AWE. We'll be doing a show with Ryan.
Stay tuned. Yeah, with AWE live. We'll be coming to you with our wrap up from behind the scenes. So anybody keen to know what was going on in the background and our impressions of the event, certainly stay tuned tuned for that
It'll
one.
be later tonight, though. We are here talking to Rich Warner, the jiu-jitsu doyen expert, about the Diamondback Fighting Championship card that took place after
I'm not
AWE.
coming back again if you guys kept doing that.
It's so good. But yes, that's what we're talking about at the moment. We saw a women's championship take place, and between Talia Greats and the drop bear there, and
Danielle
Yeah,
Curtis.
Danielle
yeah.
Curtis,
So
yeah.
who's now a triple champ.
Yeah, it's something,
Congratulations to Daniel Curtis, and
Matt
not only
Tate
that,
has
but
jumped in as well. So,
and I will say
Hey,
that,
Matty.
and I will just say that, g'day, Matt. I'm sure you've just come out of bathing and but now smelling good and smooth.
he's got 3
skin.
biceps up
So,
there. You have to get 3.
Hang
We
on,
can
there
get
we go.
2.
I'll get mine up there for
We
you
got-
as well. Oh, there we go.
we
You got
got 1
4.
each.
You got more than what you bargained for there, Matt. So an incredible performance and maybe even a victory speech of the night as well to Danielle. She
With the blood coming through the teeth and coming off the nose.
All onto Dave's jacket.
all over my
Yeah.
hand. All over the microphone. I did
You'll have to
I did a
cover it.
little sponge print afterwards with the blood off the microphone. Just dabbed that onto one of the announcer's notes. I should have perhaps got her to sign that and put it up as memorabilia on eBay maybe after. But
The jacket did look spectacular. It was custom made, and who was the tailor that did the jacket? on the night?
Lamy Largo. So Milap and our friends at Lamy Largo, they take care of all the great suits that you see me wear inside the cage and even outside the cage. As a matter of fact, everything I'm wearing now has been provided by the team there at Lamy Largo. So thank you to Lamy Largo and Milap and the boys there.
Did you have the special stretch in the groin yet in your pants? Or I
So-
noticed it was pretty stretchy at one stage. You were like legs apart, getting right like this. And
Yeah.
I was looking from behind, but I couldn't.
I don't know if there was any.
How hard were you looking?
But there was a
check out his thigh gap. Oh.
there was a requirement for the pants to be let out a little bit more for this particular event. So I don't might have more to do with my.
It's a Bruce Buffer thing, bro. All right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. The last thing you want to be doing is you have your bloody pants split in front of everyone.
I will just say, and maybe further to that point, that jacket that I was wearing at DFC was made specifically for announcing. So all the structure had been removed, and it was light.
Yeah.
It was comfortable. It was
Invisible.
It was flexible. It was and it wasn't
Carbon
invisible.
fiber, I heard.
Importantly, it was visible. So thank you.
It
Thank you
did
very
look
much for
tremendous.
that. So
Have to make
and
the
there was some conjecture over what the color might have been. Was it bronze? Was it orange?
Well, that's right. We were talking
Yeah.
about it, wasn't it? It was like a brassy caramel.
Yeah, caramel.
caramel.
Yeah.
Caramel even came up. So I don't even know what the answer is, to be honest
It
with you.
looks
So,
great. It matched your amazing performance for the night.
oh, thank you very much, Rich
Mm.
Warner. I much appreciate those very, very kind words. An epic performance there, and certainly anybody. It seemed like the girls delivered exceptional value from the first fight and the penultimate fight of the evening in that co-main event for the women's title, DFC title, the very first title handed out to the ladies, and what a spectacular matchup. And I'm sure we're going to find more and more women competing at the top end of the card in the future at DFC events.
Yeah. I think we should, that Nina Kukovic and Michaela Curran fight. I think maybe we should get a rematch. A draw.
I think they've worked their way off the bottom of the card, those two girls, after that performance. That's for sure. So it was a tough night for Cardio Flex in the cage otherwise, apart from the main event.
In terms of winning and losing, yes. In terms of they can get the wins on the board that they would have liked. But in terms of performance, I thought each one of them did really well. But as far as a club specifically, I think they got the one draw and then the one title fight at the end. But then there was a few others that lost.
Yeah.
Close decision.
Very close. So Cody Mabry on debut
Right.
was a real crowd favourite. A very charismatic, good-looking young man. Jumped inside the cage to.
He's got everything,
tremendous
hasn't he?
applause. He
young
really
Cody?
does.
The pup.
He really does. He seems like a very marketable package, and I think as a result, everybody was really hoping for the best for him, and a close decision in the end there. And, it was one of those fights that could have gone either way, and ultimately slipped through his grasp. But he's got nothing to be ashamed of there. And as he said at the end of the night, I will be back. And we can't wait to see him back in the cage.
Yeah, debut performance. You know, you expect any debutant to make some mistakes, but he really did very, very well. It was a great fight. It was another one of those fights where I think he lost the first round, I think, and then he won the second round, or either way, it was one and one, and it all came down to that last round, and it was still 50-50 with about a minute to go. I think he might have lost a position and getting taken on the bottom at some stage at that last minute of the last round. And it was that tight. It was just like, you know, the slightest little thing here is going to just give a little bit more advantage, and you've got to give it to somebody. Almost could have been a draw as well.
Yeah.
But just the smallest, lightest thing in that third round lost him the fight. But geez, you know, a lot of these fights gave the judges a real tough time.
Earn their money. Matt Tabe says, Rich, is that a cardigan?
Yeah, mate. I've got my grandpa topper on today. It's freezing cold and raining outside. I've got this for you, Matty, as well. You might like this.
That's why I'm wearing a t-shirt. There you go.
Yeah, mate.
It's all rugged up.
There we go.
Amazing. And we've got Dave Fairbairn that says the shirt colour might have been caramel.
Caramel.
The jacket.
Caramel.
The jacket.
Yeah.
I like it.
And Kat Kokoris is also the other half of Roll Clean Soap. Jumps in, says
Is there
hello.
no work going on there at the
What are you
Roll Clean
guys doing?
headquarters?
She says, you're looking dapper, Rich.
Oh, thank you
There
very
you
much,
go.
Kat. Much love to you, Kat.
And Peter also likes your hat as well.
I think Kat was on a big girls night out at the fights actually when I saw her there. So the men were left at home, and Kat was out with the girls enjoying a great night of fights, and and even a little bit of arm wrestling. As a matter of fact, Kat, I think you might have captured a little bit of footage of my demonstration on the arm wrestling table during the intermission. So
did you have an arm wrestle against Kat? Did you beat her
I
again?
didn't get a chance. We did actually grip up though. Kat and I have gripped up before, and that was at Apex. And
gripped up.
And I do believe, yeah, that's the term.
That's what we call
it.
I'll grip up with you.
That's what it is. I think Matt might have even got footage of that, of me being pinned by Kat. So,
Wow. She brought one of her friends along who was very, very strong in
Goosebumps.
arm wrestling.
She must do the jiu-jitsu with Kat.
Yeah. I
That'll
think
choke you out for sure.
She's
I won't let her get close to me. Hugs are always at a distance. So she goes in for the hug and it's like, no,
So double underhook.
This will be fine. This is fine from over here. That's fine. Matt's got a coffee table full of Boost Balm at the moment, and let me tell you about Boost Balm. It makes an absolute fantastic mustache twirling agent. So there's a little bit of a secret there. The master's
the Count of Monte Cristo.
If you want to know how you get
The
a
King
little
of
bit of that going on, get the Boost Balm into it. It was a great event. Got footage of France and
this is
Matt's arm
Kat's
wrestling
friend that
too.
came on that was very, very strong in her forearm and her wrist.
Was this French?
Well, this is
The blonde girl?
Yeah.
So, France made an impression on the night as well. And I think might have been there and in support of Danielle Curtis. I think I saw her in Danielle's corner at the end of the night having a bit of a chat or with the most loved in the back of the room there. So, so it was great to see some of the DFC guys and fans make their way over to the table, the arm wrestling table at the end of the night. Of course, at DFC 17, we were very fortunate to be able to have the AWE arm wrestling tables at the back of the room, so punters could come over and try their hand with some of the best arm wrestlers in the country and from around the world. Of course, we had Todzilla Hutchins, who was one of the greatest, one of the greatest arm wrestlers of all time, and of course, the public had the chance to be able to grip up with him and see what it feels like to be on the table with the side pressure king. And of course, all the AWE superstars were there to help guide amateurs and first timers through the
techniques,
the
thing.
stuff.
the thing.
You know the thing. So So
Did you just lose yourself for words just for a second?
There was about 100 thoughts that
That's
went
never happened before.
completely. You thought of something else completely. Then he was in two
I
minds.
did.
Wow.
It was something I need to do when I get home. I just
Yeah,
realised.
there it is. Something else popped in.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Matt Dane. But also dropped AWE. Even Channel 7 was waiting for the double bicep shot on the news matter. Yes,
That is true. This man was on Channel 7.
We did get on there, and luckily Grant Law, who has helped us out with meeting some of the media people from around the state. He also filmed it as well, so I've got that on because I spoke to Channel 7 for about 15 minutes, and there was one sentence that they used.
And they cut that sentence off.
Yeah, and then, but I think what happened was we originally were supposed to have a 2-minute segment on Channel 7, but there was some story that developed that was more important, some political story.
Something to rush or some bullshit.
Yeah. So they cut us down to 40 seconds, but it was an honor to be on the news and be featured. And
That's great.
yeah,
And on the morning show the very next day.
that's right, with Larry Emder.
Oh, I know.
Got to challenge
Yeah.
Larry.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Basically-
it was the same story, but yeah.
Yeah, but Larry Emder was talking about it, which makes
That's
it all the more
It
consequential.
does.
Yeah, it's like top shelf.
The price is right. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah. Well, the price would have been right. We'd love to jump on with Larry and show him how to do it properly.
Yeah. I think he put the call out there to as well. So we've certainly put it out to his people. If they're really keen to know how to arm wrestle on the morning show, then we'd be happy to head down there and show the guys how it's all done. Crane Burke and Abdullah Muhammad, who are on my little screen right now, and Crane walking away with the victory on this occasion, but another tight and competitive fight. And I think both fighters were there on either their first fight or in Abdul Jalil. Abdul Jalil. In this case, he was fighting on debut, a young lad from Cardio Flex. And one thing with Cardio Flex that they'll Ike will make a judgment as to whether or not you're ready, and it doesn't matter whether or not you're ready. He'll make a judgment and say you're ready. And in this case, I felt, very much that young Abdul Jalil was ready. He seemed composed, certainly much more so than you'd expect of a fighter on debut, and he put in a very worthy performance. But on this occasion, Crane was just too strong.
Yeah, exactly that. Really, as you said, he was definitely ready, and he's going to have a great future. He made one little mistake, I think, in the first or second round, where he went for a submission and fell off, and it just definitely wasn't one to go for. And you're like, oh, you're always going to fall off on that, and then you've ended up in that bottom position. And then in these quick rounds that can it can finish, lose the round for you. He really, really did well. Mixed up the strikes with his wrestling. Was expecting him to be a bit more of a chain wrestler, though. He did get a couple of takedowns, but didn't do enough with them that I thought that would really, end up winning the fight. Probably won a round, but I reckon Crane just mixed it up a little bit too much. He had a little bit of experience, one fight in the past on his opponent, and I think that was a fight of the night in the past that he'd had in the past. So a real bit of confidence for him, and I think that showed. But real good effort from both fellas, and a really entertaining fight to watch from both guys.
And a bit of a redemption for Crane, because I think even though he was involved in that fight at night, he did walk away with a loss, and always hard in that situation when you're giving your all. But his performance certainly was rewarded with another shot at inside the DFC cage, and without doubt the premier MMA promotion in the country,
the premier event in the DFC.
That's right.
Yes, it's the biggest and best in the DFC, and top rated DFC program as well.
Right. It's like winning the Stockbridge Award.
Yeah, that's right. Oh well, Ike's nominated this year, so I might be in trouble. So just
Ike's nominated you
he's
nominated himself.
He's nominated
for the Dave Stockbridge of the Year award.
You should fight the winner of Elon Musk and
Mark Zuckerberg.
Mark Zuckerberg.
I don't think I could beat either of them. I'd have a go.
On the arm wrestling.
I'd have a go at Zuckerberg though. So that was quite a tight fight and a good result there for Crane, who now has balanced out his record with one win, one loss, and has positioned himself as very much an excitement machine at welterweight. And so we have Muhammad Hussein Ibrahimi, which is a name that just rolls off the tongue. I love it. It's awesome.
What was the name again, Dave?
Muhammad Hussein Ibrahimi.
All right.
Yeah. So and Antonio Cesaro.
Ooh.
Yeah.
He doesn't get names wrong.
Yeah.
No.
All the time. Antonio Cesaro. A great name and good win. Good win in the end for Antonio.
Yeah. And I think both guys had a opposite game plan. One was more of a wrestler. Ibrahimi's always, I'm going to put you against the cage, see if I can get that takedown and just wear, grind. And he's been unlucky in his previous performances. He's always been on the wrong end of a judge's decision, and it's always been really questionable with poor Ibrahimi. He's like, I'm sure he's won 2 of those fights where he's actually lost. But sometimes that wearing somebody against the cage versus their strikes in that round, sometimes the judge can get it wrong. But I thought, definitely, he's actually a better fighter than his record shows, and he lost this fight by points when I thought you could probably argue both ways that he, probably won it, and versus, you could argue for either fighter in terms of, who won that fight. Just really good to see Mildura just come out, with not just Ibrahimi, but a few other fighters they had on the night with just solid game plans with Mick Maloney and so forth. Look,
Who else? Mick Maloney and who?
And then Funky Cole Medina.
Right. Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
He was on the card, so that's not
you and so forth.
and such.
Yeah.
You did actually ask me to remind you when it's 4:00 if you wanted to move your but if you want to, we'll talk. We've done that before, and then if you want to come back,
Muhammad Hussein Ibrahimi, I will say this: what a well turned out athlete, and if this whole MMA thing doesn't work out for him, he could literally be a physique bodybuilder.
Wow.
Like the
Ibrahimi.
Ibrahimi, yeah, the muscularity, like he carries a lot of muscle for a guy.
What weight class is it?
Short.
Yeah,
small.
Yeah, he's a little guy. I think he was about maybe early 60s.
Welterweight.
It was at catch weight, so it's not here. But off the top of my head, I think it was maybe 62, 63 kilos. But the guy's got a V taper and shoulders, and he's built. Good looking young man, very marketable, very exciting young fighter, and as Rich has pointed out, he's narrowly lost on a few occasions, and I'm sure the guys at Mildura MMA will pick him up, dust him off, get him motivated again, and get him back into a cage somewhere around the country very, very soon. I'm sure he will have more W's against his name than L's by the time he is done with his MMA career. Conor Wright and Geordie Anassi was on the card. Didn't happen. A little bit of controversy in the background. I don't think we'll touch on it tonight, but
let's let that one go.
We're gonna let that one go.
Keeper.
But I know a lot of work went in on both sides of the
shame. It's a shame. It didn't pan out.
Yeah. So, but Josh McMahon, there at Furnace MMA, we had a few fighters make their way all the way from the Apple Isle to join us from Tasmania, and Josh McMahon was one of those fighters, and he was against Harry Machete Bennett.
Yeah, that's right. Really good fight again. Very similar to the way that some of these other fighters have gone. This is another really, really tough fight. I think both guys had probably put a good case forward to get the judges' nod. In the end, I think it was McMahon that. Am I right in that?
Machete Bennett.
Machete Bennett.
Yeah, that's right. Bennett walked away with a victory on that one.
He took it, and it was well deserved. I think he's another one of those fighters who probably had been on the wrong side of the judges' call a couple of times when, it was pretty arguable. Got the nod tonight, and it's probably just the strikes and the damage that he did with that when Josh McMahon was really a little bit more of a pressure game and possibly wrestler as well. But yeah, really, really good to see, Kim Robinson, Dark Side Boys coming in and representing as well. Harry Machete Bennett always, fights very well and represents. So, really good, tough fight, but again, real close.
And we've already touched on Archer and Cody's battle, and very, very close. And good news is we're going to get a chance to see both fighters back in the cage very, very soon. Cody, although not walking away with a win, I was very, very surprised at the end of the night. We popped into the cage and we had to coax his mum into the cage to have a photo. she wasn't even keen to get in the cage to have a photo, but we encouraged her in, and Cody was very happy to get the photo with her. And as Cody was walking out of the cage, I looked at him and I said, "You don't even look like you've had a fight tonight. Like, there was no inflammation, there wasn't a scratch on him. He looked like an Adonis, and it was ready to go." So I'm sure we'll see him back very, very soon. There was no damage there.
Yeah, geez, I'd really like to see for the next 5 years Cody Mayberry fight on every single DFC card.
Yeah. Well, that kid is going to sell out rooms. You know, if he gets a few wins against his name, you're going to get a lot of hype around Cody Mayberry.
If that's his body and he's just turned 18, what's he going to be like at 24, 25?
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Monster.
Yeah. That kid's a beast. Yeah.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
Skill set is the same, amazing level, really, really well beyond the years. So.
And he moved like an experienced fighter. There was no hesitation. There was not like you might expect of an 18-year-old, looking like a bit of an awkward deer on the road or anything like that. He moved. He had flow.
I'm not sure if he's going to listen to this. I'm not sure if
Cody watches everything.
He's in the chat right now.
Hey, Cody.
Yeah.
Love to you.
He's not really.
Well, he may. I was... After the event and everything's died down of the disappointment for him and poor pup and so forth, but did a great job, so nothing to be disappointed about. But after the emotions came down, and I had a rest or whatever. The next couple of days, I was thinking about it, and I think it might be the best thing that could have happened to him. Real positive on it, because he's such a confident young man, and he's got so many brothers that have built him up. You're the young champion.
Next big thing,
right? Yeah. It might be a good thing just to
anchor him a little,
pull him down a little bit to go, hey, this is the level. We know you are a superstar. We know you're going to be amazing. But I don't know.
Well, last year he was a boy, and this year he's fighting with the men. And there's it's a big step up, isn't it? Yeah. And so big future, big future, an exciting future for Cody Mayberry and Archer Cooney walking away with the victory. Nothing to take away from Archer's performance. He gave it his absolute best, and of course walked away with the win. It's always great to see the guys from interstate make their way over to DFC.
Yeah. So congratulations to all of the clubs that came from interstate. You guys did amazing. Storm MMA and of course Mildura and a few other clubs. There was a club. Storm is from ACT, and then there was Furnace MMA from Tasmania, from Launceston.
Yeah.
And all the local clubs. Everyone did. There was not a bad performance on the whole night.
No, it was action packed, and I guess fight fans, that's what you got to come to expect from DFC. They're matching fights beautifully. You're always, from the first fight of the night to the last. Yeah. You've got a reason to not go to the toilet, not go to the bar.
Oh, no, you can't go to the toilet. You can't get your chips at the wrong time. Because
they actually lock the toilets. You're not allowed to go in.
No, it is true, isn't it? As soon as the intermission comes, everyone's like, right, now's our time.
Beers and toilet.
Yeah, that's right.
So the big boys were fight 7 of the night, and that was Dan Anglefield all the way over from Victoria, and Alex Matheson, who is a local boy, the Rainbow Snake. And Alex is that young man is a absolute beast. And although the fight didn't last long, there was one particular moment when I thought I was going to end up with both lads on my lap as they crashed through the side of the cage.
I did see you flinched there, and I thought,
I moved all the way back. I thought that's 230 kilos. Well, probably that's what they weighed in at. You're probably close to the 250 by the time.
Just on the commentary table, and Dave was sort of just chilling out, just sort of joking around or whatever, and they just
crashed.
Bloody hit the fence right in front of us so hard, didn't they? It was like the whole cage was like. Couldn't believe they didn't come through.
Well done to the Andreessen boys for doing such a good job bolting that thing to the ground. Alex Matheson really proving a point. To my mind, he looked heavier than at Apex by maybe 5 or 10 kilos as well. But just an absolute unit, and big guy. lovely bloke too.
The
And
destroyer of worlds.
yeah, and
He's-
when he jumped into the cage, he was the stare was on.
Oh, did you see it?
The intensity was there, and yeah,
The video didn't quite pick up how the stare,
how intense that stare was.
Yeah, it was. Okay, yeah, I don't know, man. It was
Looking through your soul.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it was right. It was on.
it was like
hard.
through the soul to the back of the head.
Yeah,
Like there was
right.
nothing there. It was it was
Ooh.
quite disturbing. Quite disturbing to be outside the safely outside the cage, and
Yeah, right.
just a little bit concerned.
Like,
Do you remember the Rainbow Snake? I think you were sitting cage side when he did his incredible knockout of the guy from ATT last time.
yeah, it's
Yes.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Amazing.
It was the same thing again.
Wow.
Very much the same.
Jeez, this guy's got a future.
Yeah. Oh well, the thing is, there's not too many heavyweights that move like that. He does his athleticism and his overall size is very, very impressive. Like a Brock Lesnar level of impressive.
Yeah.
Because he moves quickly,
Like a
he's
lightweight.
agile.
Dave's got all the names now.
He's got it going. He's found out.
I know who Brock Lesnar is.
That's because everyone keeps saying that you look like all these people, and you're like, who am I looking like? Triple H, you got Kratos, you got who did you get? Someone else. You had somebody else on the weekend as well. There was a whole bunch
I
of
don't know, some
these big muscular dudes with beards, and it's like someone goes, "Oh, that's Dave. That's the announcer looks like that guy." And you're like, "Who is that?" I gotta look that up.
Who is that guy? What an unfortunate man that chap must be. Josh Watkins from Complete Control was up against Jed Dale from Cardio Flex, and I guess that's where we're saying that it was a tough night for Cardio Flex because Jed didn't do much wrong in that fight.
Interesting thing is that both this fight and the fight previously was ended in exactly the same way, in the same systematic way to get a finish, which was to lock down the wrist. So to get a body lock from the side and then lock down this wrist and trap it to the body whilst the cage is here. So they've only got a left hand to defend from, and you're putting all your weight on their back, not able to get up, and so you've got your left hand just
Like
freely.
Brock Lesnar, Frank Mir, number 2.
Yeah, and it, Jed Dale, this is the kibib wrestling, chain wrestling, and we all know those moves. And I know Dylan's my best friend, and he's the Cardioflex Jiu-Jitsu coach. And I've seen Jed do this time and time and time again, trained specifically from Dylan exactly to do this specific move. And then he's had that done to him the entire fight and controlled in that same way that he likes to do that. Really, really well played by Josh Watkins to have the discipline to be able to out Jed and to do the fantastic wrist control. And it happened in both fights. But of course, the big boys, it only takes, I think it was 9 punches and it was done.
Well, I reckon there was 3 punches, and I think there might have been a knockout there. And I just think that from our position, we're very fortunate because we're literally looking at his face, and he went limp after the 3rd or 4th.
Right.
And of course,
late call, do you think? Late
well,
stoppage?
I don't think the ref could see, to be honest with you, and I don't think there was anything in the body language to really suggest. But from where the ref was, I think he let it go and gave the fighter every chance. But we could see after 3 or 4, it was like he's gone, he's out, he ain't coming back from this. And
ain't getting that
7 or 8 more.
110 kilos or something of body weight off you.
I think he weighed in 111. He looked like he was 125 when he was standing in the cage. It's huge.
It's the best move, isn't it? Trapping that wrist is the best move ever. Just being heavy, trapping the wrist, and you're just controlling it just by that, and then it's like fantastic. No one can get out of that.
Yeah,
especially early on, because you've got the grip. They're not as slippery, especially if you sort of catch your hand underneath their glove in a way, so they can't really pull out of it. And you can wail away. So we've got
very well played.
A comment here from Scott Langler.
Scotty, and he's a very big teammate of the Rainbow Snake and a good mate of his. So
Alex is a beast. Never trained with anyone so strong and athletic. Yeah, so maybe he is the Brock Lesnar of local MMA after all. I mean, he's a physically imposing. It's just strong, charismatic,
the boys
good
were
looking.
telling me that how easily he picks up Pooh Bear. Pooh Bear puts him up against the cage,
right.
lifts him up like suplex, lift him up like back,
Out muscles him,
turns him upside down. Like Pooh Bear's like
double champion of the light heavyweight division.
Scary dude, man.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, there's the great thing with Alex is that with his size and his marketability, he's going to find opportunities because everyone wants to see him in a cage, him in a ring. Everybody wants to see somebody like that. So he's going to sell tickets. That's for sure.
I loved his speech at the end.
Mm.
He did something. I thought, oh, he's pissed you off now. He's pissed you off now.
He tried to say the mic, did he?
Oh, almost. I thought
Almost.
if he wasn't so big, Dave might have smacked him one. But Dave's like, I'll just let it go.
This time. This time.
Yeah. He's on the mic, and I think it's the first thing he said is like, I'd just like to say a massive thank you, not to Jesus Christ. Because everybody, I'd like to thank Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
He's like, I'd like to say thank you, not to Jesus.
He's had his
like,
thanks already.
Come on.
That's funny.
But,
Never heard that.
I mean, Tim made up for it. But not
That's right.
His
speech. He said some.
It's
You know,
interesting things.
He said some interesting things.
Don't repeat them on here.
Yes.
Because we
and
are
I
on the
didn't
stream.
realize he said some of those interesting things at the time until I watched the replay. I'm like,
Oh.
wow, did he really say that?
In amongst that whole speech, and nothing to take away from Tim's an outstanding performance, and every fighter deserves their moment. But he bounced around like I think the adrenaline of the win. He had a He put a picture in people's mind of his girlfriend in the world title belt later on that evening.
I know exactly what he said.
He thanked
You'll have
Jesus
to buy the pay-per-view and check it out yourself.
Check it out
It made me. I was buried in cables trying to unscrew all this stuff, and I put my head up. I'm like, what did he just say? Oh my god!
Because it started off very humble, thanking the Lord Jesus Christ. A few seconds later, it moved on to that girl over there. She's going to be my wife, and I'm going to have some fun with you later while she's wearing that belt. And then it turned into this beautiful, respectful moment where there was almost like a respectful moment with reference to Michael Toyama,
right?
And it somehow turned it all around. It was like an emotional roller coaster. It was part comedy. It was
that
part,
right there is a microcosm of exactly who that young man is.
Tim's amazing, absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
And he at the end of the night, he asked if he could. It's like, you just have the mic, mate. It's the end of the night. I don't need it back now. It's all yours. He made the most of it. But the most touching moment was, of course, that where he moved to the back of the cage.
Yes.
For those that weren't familiar, who he was talking to at the back of the cage, it was Greg Toyama and the boys and Julie.
Yep.
And he just made that point that he wouldn't be where he was without Michael and the Toyama family, who'd made a tremendous impact on his life. And of course, Michael's sad passing was memorialised just earlier on that night. And one of the very touching moments of the night was, of course, Tim referencing the Toyama's contribution to his success. So, like I say, it was a victory speech. It was a roller coaster, and it was everything you want from the DFC. It was thoroughly entertaining as well.
Yeah.
Rich has got more to say about that.
About Toyama.
About Michael Toyama.
Oh yeah, sure.
Yeah, really, really touching moment. And really well done, of course, Dave. I was surprised, but I wasn't expecting. I was hoping that we would do something, because a lot of people pretty sad about that passing.
So tell us about the man.
Oh man, well, I suppose if you've only been, in the jiu-jitsu scene the last couple of years, you don't know Michael Toyama like the rest of us probably know Michael Toyama. He's the man who built everything that we have today. One of the first clubs I ever went to was a club that shared the same premises as SABJJ. It was actually a daughter club from SABJJ. So I got to know Michael Toyama as we used to finish our class, and he would enter, and sometimes he would spend 15, 20 minutes before with us, even though we're an enemy or rival club, and but he would tutor and mentor and build relationships with us. And so we got to know Michael and over years and years. And what has happened with his club, SABJJ, is that
he has birthed probably 60, 70, maybe even 80% of all of the jiu-jitsu clubs in South Australia over the last 10 years especially have come out of that one tutelage, out of his, from his own club.
Wow.
So he's built amazing army of warriors up and then released them to go and, so that now we have 10, 15, 20 amazing jiu-jitsu clubs in South Australia. Each one of them, lineage is a huge thing in martial arts, and there's there's not a jiu-jitsu artist out there in South Australia, even somebody who's been, training for 4 weeks, who really that knowledge
Or an
hasn't
expert
passed.
like yourself.
Not that hasn't passed really directly in some way, whether directly or indirectly through that man. And so, yeah, Michael, you've got your club master who you love and respect, but you know that his master is Michael. So it's like he's your grandfather in a way, even if you didn't directly go to SABJJ. Of course, then, the Toyama family were the family who legalized mixed martial arts and in South Australia and started the
great job, because it took a
MMA
long time. I imagine the struggle that would have taken. It was such a long battle.
Yeah, they started putting on shows in any way that they could possibly do, and so in the first ever shows, it was
no striking on the ground. Was that
that's right.
Yeah.
It was a
headgear, and
there was a lot of crazy, weird rules that they didn't get control over, but and so forth. And they just had to build and build and build with terrible tools to work with, and the story is old that they paved the way and so forth. But just as a guy, Michael Toyama, really, really good looking guy. There's not a girl who wouldn't go, wow, amazingly beautiful looking man. He was a role model. He was a leader. He was a quietly spoken leader. He never pushed himself to get out in front of a crowd. Quite the opposite of who Michael Toyama was. He was the softly spoken master. Quietly, very confident. He walked with a very strong, confident gait, but wasn't an overbearing, pushing personality. You'd have to spend some time one-on-one with Michael to actually get to know him. But he wasn't a guy who liked to open up to everybody, and I think he was quite a what's the opposite of outgoing? An
introvert.
Sorry, introverted person. A deep thinker, but didn't share a lot. He wasn't. I think real comfortable with sharing, and maybe that's a little bit to his detriment. And his passing, with the amount of skills and everything that he has or had going for him, was just so shocking. There's not a man that I know who didn't respect the man, who didn't love the man, and he had everybody's love and respect. And his passing was something that will affect us all for many years to come, because none of us can understand it.
When did you find out about it?
I think it happened on the weekend, and it was the Monday. I think Gavin, his brother, is also a fighter. Gavin Toyama, really great guy, really great fighter. Another, from the Toyama family, very, very humble, not a real hero pushing himself kind of guy. But Gavin posted on Facebook, and I immediately called up my best friend Dylan, who's his coach, of course, was Michael, and he named his son Michael after Michael Toyama. And just the legacy and the lineage of jiu-jitsu is strong. That if that's your coach's coach, then there's a relationship you automatically have. I don't know, mate. He was a really, really fantastic, amazing human being. Really was, and just can't understand why he's not here anymore.
Yeah, only 35 and having such a legacy. It's incredible, really. He must have been an absolutely amazing person.
He he was a world champion no gi. No gi Australian world champion. I think it was about 2000 and to get this wrong, 2017, I think it was, where he became an Australian champion. And so an amazing athlete, but he's not necessarily known for the medals or the things that he's collected, but his impact on others. And in South Australia, mate, he was the starter and the controller and the mover and the shaker of absolutely everything to do with jiu-jitsu and mixed martial arts. And everything comes back to him and his family, everything, all clubs, all everything. So, yeah, it was a big one.
What a nice moment to see when you were doing that memorial in the cage, and the applause just kept going after you'd finished, and just sort of continued, and you could tell everyone in that room just was feeling that moment and wanted his memory to live on. So yeah, what a powerful experience. And the guy sounds like his legacy will continue to live on.
Yeah, very, very sad.
Yeah, and it was a special moment, and there weren't too many dry eyes after that. So had some of the toughest men in the country around the cage, and everybody felt in that moment the gravity of the passing of Michael Toyama. And
I'm really glad we did it. I didn't know how we were going to do it, but yeah, you really honoured him well, and I think it was just a bit of a great release for everybody in that community to be able to acknowledge it, rather than just let it go past and just have another event. And
we have David DeConti to thank for those words as well that were shared on the night.
Yeah, and there's a great example. Probably Michael's best friend is David DeConti, and he now runs a fantastic gym called Westside Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. It's just so many beautiful little clubs all over suburbia now, whereas before there was one. It was FABJJ.
A real sad and senseless passing, and so our thoughts are continuing, and prayers are with the Toyama family during what is a very, very difficult time. So but after the memorial on the evening, we still had a few more fights left on the card, and Luis Flores and Mark Macefield, they were up next.
I'm all sad now.
And
the last time that I saw Michael Toyama was at the previous DFC. So it was like every time I walked past the bar that I had a beer with him, I'm like,
little stab in the guts.
That
was the moment.
That's the last time I shared a joke with him. Really, really sad. Anyway, I'm really sorry. It's tough. I've still got the anger in my head, just like, why? How? This is just bullshit. Like,
doesn't seem real.
It's the old story of, we all wish we knew. If there was something that we could do or say, and I suppose the lesson is for us, still as men, is to encourage each other, I suppose. And
absolutely, communication. It is surprising as well, like you were saying, he's surrounded by loved ones, and he had all of his students and all this support,
everything going for him.
Yeah, that's what would be so shocking about it.
Everything. Every man wanted to be him. Everyone wanted, what they say, every woman wanted to be with him, every man wanted to be him. So that's why I just can't understand.
No, that's fair. It's I guess no one will know really the reason. Just know that his memory will live on, and the good thing is that he will be remembered as a fantastic person who influenced Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and MMA enormously in South Australia.
Well, I mean, if it wasn't for MMA Down Under, there wouldn't be a DFC.
That's right.
So DFC is the successor to MMA Down Under, and of course that was all started by the Toyama family as well. And we certainly owe a great debt of gratitude to the Toyama family and to Michael in particular. So so it was a big night, and in more ways than one, it was an emotional night, and it was a night where two new champions were crowned in Danielle Drop Bear Curtis and Tim Rogers, with maybe the best victory speech of the night. But the last two, they were crackers.
Who had more blood streaming from the nose when they did
Danielle.
their speech? Was it
Danielle.
Drop Bear or was it
Yeah.
Tim Rogers?
Danielle, very much so. Danielle was
She had blood through all the teeth and coming down the nose
she-
and spitting it all across your lapel and your microphone.
But the thing is, she was loving every moment of it, smiling the whole time. So absolutely, God bless her, Danielle. And of course, Danielle will be vacating that belt that she's only just won as she is turning pro.
Mhm.
And it was an amateur belt. And so we might see that Talia gets a chance to get her hands on that belt after all. Of course, I'm sure she would have much preferred to have been prizing it out of the hands of Danielle Curtis after their very close battle there at the co-main event at DFC 17. But that she won't get that chance. So that belt will be vacated, and we'll be looking for a worthy adversary for
Amina
Talia.
Hedaya, what do you reckon? Amina Hedaya.
We
Amina.
love that. I believe that she's in the UAE at the moment.
She's on an upwards trajectory and doing big things around the world.
So
So
yes.
Well, I'm going to call you out, Amina. I'm going to call you out.
It's really just a fight that Rich wants to see, and
Yeah.
I think we all do actually, because we saw that match up at Apex and a couple of Apexes ago now, and of course Talia had just come out of having a COVID that week.
That's
the
right.
fight week.
Yeah.
She came down.
She
and
fought with COVID.
She fought essentially just recovered, completely depleted, and put in a great fight. But Adea was certainly on her game, and she would have been hard to shift, even if Talia was 100%. You would imagine, so it would have been a very, very close fight. It's hard to see which way that one would have gone, but Danielle on the night on this occasion was just had the favour of the judges and walked away with the belt. And Talia will be back again, I know, and we know that we've got some real crowd favourites. So just looking through, when I say reactions of the night, Nina's quickly emerging as a crowd favourite. I think people really like her brand of fighting. She goes absolutely hard at it from the time that the bell goes until it's time to go home. Cody Mabry, a big crowd favourite.
Yep.
A lot of love in the room for young Cody Mabry, of course. Alex Matheson,
Rainbow Snake.
the Rainbow Snake as well. Big following for the big man. Lots of tickets being sold as a result of that man being on the card.
People are getting used to know what to expect off the Rainbow Snake now, isn't it? The following is getting, they're like, oh, wow, he's going to finish it again in 30, 40 seconds again. So get behind him.
That's the brand. That's the brand. And that's why I think, he's such a marketable athlete. He's got the physicality, he's got the skill set, and he's got that brand of finishing early and scaring everybody, including the ring announcer on the outside of the game. He's a beast of a man. Harry Horsell, always a crowd favourite, doesn't walk away with anywhere near enough W's as far as I'm concerned. He jumps in, he's an excitement machine, and he really gives of himself. And entertains the crowd, but he's been unfortunate on a couple of occasions. Come close, but just fallen short at the final hurdle.
It was a great fight, but my highlight of that fight was a defensive move rather than an attacking move. He didn't get the KO that he normally is looking for this time. I thought it was a little bit more of a conservative approach from Lightning this time, and it could have been possibly because he got that big knockout from the Irish just a couple of months ago. Maybe he's thought, oh geez, I shouldn't be so crazy attacking, but that's what we love about him. A little bit more conservative. But the best move I thought was in that third round when his opponent came forward with this massive big sweeping right kick.
Yes, and he snuck under.
How did he see that coming, Dave?
Oh, it was like a spidey instincts. He just, intuition. I don't know, but he and Harry's a tall guy. He's a big guy, and somehow he just slipped under and popped out the other side like it was choreographed for a movie scene almost.
No
like
way.
It was crazy. It was some kung
That
fu
kick was
bullshit.
designed
That's what
to
it was.
slice him in two and take him out. And just amazing timing. I don't know how he saw it coming and how he got under it in time. It was the most beautiful move ever. You didn't win the fight, but geez, that's a highlight.
That was move of the night. That was move of the night. Awesome. And of course, Jesse Funky Cole Medina back, and a very impressive record, very much a seasoned fighter, has been very, very active over recent years. And Tim Rogers has been a bit quiet We haven't seen him in the cage for a long, long
Yeah,
time.
3 or 4 years he's been injured. So, you know, he's got a perfect record previous, but he's had some massive injuries that really took him out of the game, couldn't do anything. And so it's just been a real bit of a hard fight for him to keep mentally strong, keep mentally in there, kind of keep training and doing things that you can do for 3 or 4 years without actually fighting. So for the last year, he's been close. And then he's just copped another little bit of an injury, another little bit of a one. So it's really just right on the edge, and then just really great to see him get his opportunity. He was really looking forward to this one, and you know, he's a special fighter. There's always something special that happens when Tim fights, and massive victory for him. You know, Funky Cold Medina is one of the most established and well-respected fighters in Australia, and it's definitely, you know, one of the most experienced. And so to take a head like that, have that on your resume, fantastic.
And a convincing victory. Tim was in control almost the whole time, and as the fight wore on, increasingly so, really imposed himself towards the end there, and a very, very impressive win. No ring rust was evident whatsoever.
I thought there was 2 bits of controversy, Dave.
Oh,
we've talked about the speech. There was that controversy,
A little
right?
bit of controversy.
Which we're not going to say. I actually got it like a 10-second clip of just exactly what he said on my phone, because I just thought I've got to just clip that little naughty thing that he said, because it was funny. Send it to my friends, and I'm like, what did he say? But the other thought that I thought was really controversial in his fight was round 4, when he was on top of Medina and he was bleeding profusely from the nose. If you watch the replay, he did this like 3 or 4 times. You're a bad man, Tim, if you're watching this. We saw you. This savage move where he literally started to see that, oh, geez, the blood's going in his face. This is great.
Luke Rockhold style.
Yeah.
And he was like, you could see him like say something to Jesse, like, oh, do you like that?
Yeah.
And like, oh yeah, I'll put some in your mouth as well. And it was disgusting, because it was like half booger, half blood. And he was doing it up, and they were talking.
Yeah, back and forth.
Oh my God.
And Jesse couldn't move anywhere because he was right up against the cage. His head was stuck there.
Yeah, I'll eat it. Yeah, that's great. I love it, Tim. Thanks so much. But yeah, there was that was going on. And it was happening so much so, and the blood was pretty bad, that the ref came over and had to say to Tim, you can't do that. He had to come over and like warn him a few times. No. You actually can't do that. You can't do that. Please, he said, concentrate on fighting.
Yeah.
Not that.
Right.
Because you could see Tim, he's like, he had it, and he actually literally thought,
Greg was having none of it. He was having none of it. He saw what was going on.
I wonder what rule that would fall under, whether it's unsportsmanlike conduct or something. Because I doubt it would be actually written in there. You can't bleed on the opponent deliberately.
it's a filthy animal move, isn't it?
But Tim, what a great story. I mean, he spelled it out a bit in his victory speech that, you know, he was 110 kilos. He had low self-esteem. He didn't have any friends. He didn't know what his future held. He walked into Michael's gym and felt like that was the start of the rest of his life, and from there got himself into shape and got himself into the cage and enjoyed success, and he built himself up again as a man, and he did have Michael to thank for that on the night, and a tremendous effort by him. And again, he walks away with a belt around his waist or over his shoulder, and remains undefeated as a pro.
He's a crazy dude, and his fights are crazy as well. You know, and his story is crazy. It's an amazing story. And a lot of fighters have had that. You know, I started when he walked into a gym one day, and then things have, you know, he's had a fantastic journey, and you know, really looking forward to see where it takes it from here. He's undefeated, you know, maybe I think you'll probably have a real active year in the next year or two.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And as I'm sure all fight fans are. So, well, Rich Warner, thank you very much for that wrap up and review of TFC 17.
My pleasure.
It's in the can. It's all done, as is the review. And thank you very much, Hollywood Matt Connolly, once again for joining us on the microphone here at the Daily Combat Podcast. I've been your host, Dave Stockbridge. And of course, we'll look forward to bringing you more DFC action, MMA action, and all things local combat sports again very, very soon. Thanks, guys.